You got to get over the need to be liked by everyone, because going on the internet, I promise you, you're just reaching the whole world. You have everyone in the world that has a chance to watch your video. I promise you, not everyone's going to like you. You need courage to persist and to be more convicted about your own passions, beliefs, values, and reasons for starting on YouTube rather than what somebody else thinks about your content. Hey, welcome back to the Think Media Podcast. Sean Cannell here, and I want to thank you so much for joining me for this two-part series about the 7 C's of YouTube success. This episode is brought to you by ytsecrets.com. The second edition of YouTube Secrets is out now, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but let's jump into the first C, and that is courage. So you've probably realized by now that punching fear in the face, starting a YouTube channel, and consistently posting content can be overwhelming. It can be kind of scary, and it also can be frustrating because you're not sure how to get views, you're not sure how to grow. And personally, I know exactly how you feel. I remember when I posted my first video, poop your pants scared, armpit sweaty, nervous to put myself out there on YouTube. But today, I've now posted thousands of videos. I've gotten over 200 million views on YouTube, and now I've helped tens of thousands of people really build the confidence to get on camera and succeed with YouTube. And I created a 7-step really YouTube formula for success. And I talk about that in my book, YouTube Secrets, that actually just launched with the second edition. But I want to break down all 7 of those steps so you can go from confusion to clarity, so you can go from frustration to actually building some massive momentum when it comes to getting views on YouTube. And we call these the 7 C's of YouTube success. And the first one is courage. You got to start before you're ready. Now, of course, there's all kinds of tactics, and you got to have great titles and thumbnails and how do you make videos. But the truth that I've noticed that holds most people back is actually this first C, courage. You got to overcome the fear of what other people think. I've heard the phrase FOPO, the acronym FOPO, F-O-P-O. It stands for the fear of other people's opinions. The truth is, one of the hardest obstacles to overcome when getting on YouTube is the fear of what other people think. And there's a lot of excuses that come up. And so the reason the first C is courage is because a lot of times we might say, I'm too old to start YouTube, or I'm too young to start YouTube. A lot of other excuses people have. I don't have the time to do this. You have to actually overcome all of those excuses, really stop making excuses and say, I'm just going to start getting results. I'm not going to let time hold me back, my age hold me back. You have to have the courage to get on camera. And then when you play back that video, you have to hear your own voice, and you're probably not going to like it, right? I remember back before cell phones, before iPhones, before Razor flip phones, we used to have answering machines, right? I had a landline. And I remember when I would maybe call home, leave my mom, my dad a message, but then I beat them home, right? They hadn't listened to it yet. So I went home and I pressed play on the answering machine, and I heard my own voice. And I was like, what the heck? Is that what I actually sound like? Is that what my voice sounds like? What's worse is now you think about video, you play the video back, you're like, is that what I actually look like? Dear God, somebody help. And so ultimately, these are all mindset, courage things that hold us back. You got to have the courage to start before you're ready. You got to have the courage to punch fear in the face. You got to have courage to embrace criticism and negative comments. See, the first C of the 7 C's of YouTube success is the courage to actually start posting content, whether or not you're going to get judgment or negative criticism. And here's the deal. I promise you that if you start posting content on the internet, and if you achieve your stated goal, Sean, I would love to get 1,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, and get a silver play button. If you get 100,000 subscribers, there's definitely going to be a few people on the journey who don't like you, or they don't like your content. And honestly, it's probably not even that personal, but they'll stop by your video and they'll be like, why is your hair weird? Why? I remember I got a comment once and they said, why do you have the face of a boy but the hair of an old man? And I was like, wow, thanks. I guess the gray is coming in pretty strong right now. People are just going to say things that can kind of be hurtful, but you have to decide that your mission is more important than the criticism. You got to have courage. You got to have a clear vision for why you want to start your YouTube channel. And you have to have the courage of punching fear in the face and getting out there. There's a lot of fears that come up, when you're starting YouTube. The fear of being judged, the fear of not being an expert, the fear that somebody else is going to judge you if you say something wrong. If you say something wrong about the content you're making, the product you're talking about in the video. I'm a tech reviewer. I remember on Think Media once, I was reading the box of an Asus monitor, and it said IPS, which is a particular type of monitor, and it stands for in-panel switching. But literally on the box, it said image perfecting screen. And so I was reading off the box, and I guess I wasn't really wrong, but I wasn't saying the technical term of IPS. And wouldn't you know, every tech nerd and geek on the internet, and I would include myself in that category, but apparently, I made a mistake. And I was torn to shreds. People in the comments like, look at this guy. He doesn't even know what IPS stands for. And I got all these comments about it. And I'll tell you, I'll admit, I kind of thought, should I take the video down? I kind of thought, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. This kind of stuff is the stuff that bothers me. I'm in the shower, thinking about, oh, I can't believe I said that wrong. I'm laying in bed. I should be focusing on my wife, but I'm thinking about critics on YouTube. This is real stuff that's going to come your way. So my hope is that in this podcast, you can muster and commit to and realize that you got to just summon the next level of courage to get on YouTube. And one of the things I discovered was, even though I see critics in the comments of my YouTube videos, I have never run into those critics at the bank. Yeah, I didn't take the video down. And guess what? The video actually has hundreds of thousands of views now with a handful of negative comments. But I still got all that AdSense. I got affiliate marketing from the product I was talking about. It was a good video overall. Listen, we're humans. We're going to make mistakes. So even on my journey to being a tech expert or a YouTube expert or whatever your niche is, listen, you got to just put videos out there. Of course, do your due diligence and put your best work in and put your research in. I'm giving it my best. I'm trying my hardest. But no matter what you do, you're never going to please everybody. See, this thing takes courage. You got to get over the need to be liked by everyone. Because going on the internet, I promise you, you're just reaching the whole world. You have everyone in the world that has a chance to watch your video. I promise you, not everyone's going to like you. You need courage to persist and to be more convicted about your own passions, beliefs, values, and reasons for starting on YouTube rather than what somebody else thinks about your content. There's too much fear out there. People are afraid of saying the wrong thing, of upsetting others. People are afraid of getting canceled. Sean, can you promise me that I won't get canceled? I can't promise you anything, but I can promise you that if you don't take action, you're always going to wonder why. What's worse? The pain of some negative comments or the pain of regret from never even starting in the first place? Friend, it's time to start before you're ready. The first C of the 7 C's of YouTube success is courage. You got to punch fear in the face and press record. A couple other things I notice under courage is just putting yourself on the internet is scary. And so, well, Sean, what if I get hacked? What if I get stalked? These are good questions. What if I get hacked? I think you should use something like 1Password. I think you should use something that you should definitely have a good password. Always enable 2-factor authentication when setting up your YouTube channel. That'll really help you from getting hacked. Be careful with who you share information with. Don't just, really share your login information indiscriminately. Change your password often. And if you use a password created by software like LastPass or 1Password, then you're going to be in a lot better position. And definitely don't just use that password that you were still using in high school for your Hotmail account. 10 years later, that password is on the dark web 486 times. And so it's probably time to change your password. And then, of course, like fear of getting stalked. Listen, you don't have to use maybe your last name. Maybe use a brand name. Maybe you change your name. Like, got to be wise. Don't put your address out there, Like, you could decide whether or not you want to show your family or your kids. There are answers to every objection you're bringing up. Well, Sean, I'm just not ready to start yet. You're never going to be ready. You got to just start. Well, Sean, what if I get stalked? Fair question. And I want to be sensitive to that issue. But again, you got to just put yourself out there. Put security measures in place. Get an alarm. You do things to be anonymous. To be serious about this. But if we always think about every possible scenario of what can go wrong, we'd never leave the house. We would never ultimately take action. In Proverbs, it actually talks about, it says the lazy man says there's a lion outside, so he never goes outside. It's like there's just always something, today's not a good day, it might rain. Oh, today's not a good day, the stock market's down. Oh, today's not a good day, there might be some negativity. For sure, there's never gonna be the perfect time. And fair weather, never made a skilled sailor. It takes courage to get uncomfortable and start on YouTube. And you got to overcome the fear of the gear. Well, Sean, when I'm ready and I understand tech and I understand my camera and I understand how to make it look good, when I watch Think Media, Nolan and Omar's videos, they look too good. I can't do that. Yeah, when you're starting, you don't know the tech yet. You got fear of the gear, but you have to start anyways. Get that $50 webcam. Grab that flashlight as your only lighting source. Just start, because once you start moving, you can improve as you go. I've learned this. You can't steer a parked car. The first C of the 7 C's of YouTube success is courage. You have to start before you're ready. You got to start moving, because once you start moving, the rest of the tips, once you start moving, the rest of the strategies, they actually work. But you can't just sit there and just absorb a bunch of information and take no action and expect to get results. Friend, it's time to summon a new level of courage. Oh, but Sean, I don't have enough money to do this. Friend, if you're watching this video, you can start, because you're either watching this on a smartphone, you're listening to this from your phone or in your car, and at home you got a laptop or you got a computer, or your friend does, or your partner does, or you could go borrow one. Like, there's a way to figure out how to do this. See, I've learned it actually really isn't about your resources. It's about your resourcefulness. So you just got to get resourceful. Oh yeah, okay, I do have these obstacles. I do have these setbacks. I do have these challenges. I do have that crazy ex. I do have that stuff in that situation. But I'm going to be resourceful. I'm going to be wise. I'm going to be cautious, but I'm going to be courageous. So I hope you're fired up, because we just covered the first C of the 7 C's of YouTube success. And I wanted to devote an entire episode to it because courage is so important. But definitely make sure you're subscribed wherever you listen to or watch this podcast so that you can catch part 2, where I'm going to share the next 6 C's of the 7C YouTube success formula. And listen, today's episode is brought to you by ytsecrets.com. That's the letter Y, the letter T, and the word secrets.com. The second edition of YouTube Secrets is out now. And if you haven't picked up the book and you want to learn more about this, plus 80 new pages of content, 3 new chapters, new data, new stats, the entire book updated, a whole appendix full of resources. I highly recommend grabbing the book. You can check it out, links in the description or at the URL ytsecrets.com. And I think it'll serve you. If you also like listening to it on audio, it is also out on Audible. Smash like or leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you enjoyed this episode. And I'm excited to see you in the next one.